I was sleeping underneath the stars on the side of a riverbank, and it was just this cold rush beside me, and I had a bed of coals next to me that were weak, that I had built to try and keep me warm. And they weren't, and I had bundled up with thrift store clothing that my aunt left outside of her house for me to take. This big plastic bag, all I had was my skateboard. That was my pillow that night, and I looked up to the sky. And I realized, if I'm alive, then my Creator must definitely be alive. So the next day, God touched my heart through a man at a church and said, "You've been in a situation like this before. I love you. I want to show you something new." And that afternoon, that evening, I met a man named Stone who, after the weekend, taught me by bicycle how to ride, how to live on the road by bicycle, and we rode together from Southern California to Oregon when he mysteriously disappeared on me. And so as an exodus, I rescued a cat, and her and I rode from Oregon over to Idaho, north to Spokane, west to Seattle, south to San Francisco, and the bicycle broke, and I was in a flood of tears. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I had no idea where I was in my life or what was going to happen. So I went to the only place that I knew was comfort, and it was a beach house in Newport, Oregon. I went up there with this woman, this middle-aged woman, and she had an estranged husband who was onto this homeless kid who was with the cat, who was living in his beach house, and so it wasn't safe to stay there. And so I headed east, maybe to New Orleans, maybe to New Hampshire, and I got a ride into Corvallis a year and a half ago. And at that point in my life, at that point on the road, I was intent to get off of the road, and I was intent to plug into something that mattered. And Corvallis was a prepared ground for me to seed into, for me to water on, for me to become a part of. And a year and a half later, I see that fruit has grown in the workplace, in the reconciliation of relationships, in parts of my life that were caverned away, coming out to light and blossoming into something new and poignant, in relationships with people that will extend into forever. And so this book is the testimony of how my heart went from desolation to restoration. And I'm happy to share that with everybody.